We'll call the meeting to order at 6:31. And the first item on the agenda to speak about is to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on March 26, 2019, and the special meeting held on April 2nd, 2019.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting held on March 26, 2019, and a special meeting held on April 2nd, 2019.
Second.
Any conversation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next item is to DEMIS approve resolutions for the 2017-2018 Homeland Security Grant Program Memorandum of Agreement. We have the resolution attached here. What I'll do, I think you guys have read it, but I'll read it for the cameras and for the audience, the resolution, and then we can discuss where we are. Be resolved that the Deep River Board of Selectmen may enter into with and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, any and all documents which it deems necessary to be necessary or appropriate, and further resolved that Angus L. McDonald Jr., as First Selectman of the Deep River Board of Selectmen, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the Deep River Board of Selectmen, and to do and perform all acts and things which he deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents. The undersigned further certifies that Angus McDonald now holds the office of First Selectman. What this is the Department of Emergency Services and Homeland Security administers or it distributes a sizable amount of money to all counties around around the country. In Connecticut, it's distributed to what's known as DEMIS, and it's administrated by the State Administrative Agency of the United States Department of Homeland Security. What happens is that this money in 2017 was $1,473,804 is distributed to the state and then distributed to smaller groups. We are part of Region 2, which involves all of the Council of Governments, the 19 towns and a couple of other towns that are not in the Council of Governments. And the money is set aside for expanding the regional collaboration between the towns when it comes to emergency services, Connecticut Intelligence Center, Fusion Center, Critical Infrastructure, CBRNE detection, Metropolitan Medical Response System, Citizens Corps Program, and the Medical Preparation and Response. You may or may not remember a year ago, CRAD, the health district, set up another pod, which is a distribution center for medicines during emergency services up at John Winthrop. That some of this money was used to create that program. What this is for the last 2 years, these for one reason or another, a number of towns did not authorize the First Selectman to do this and to distribute the money. The money is going around, but the paperwork has not been done. This is really just following it to do that paperwork.
So it's not costing?
It doesn't cost us anything, and it doesn't get us any grant money per se.
We're not actually getting money,
No.
we're giving them permission to use that's
Money to help us.
designated for Deep River.
That's
almost
exactly
for-
right. It's designated for Deep River, but it's also designated for our COG, and for our district, for our state, and that's all this is. And it's authorizing me to sign the memorandum of agreement that allows them to distribute.
And all participating towns have to do this.
Exactly, yep. So, if you all understand that well enough and are ready to, we can just make a motion to approve the resolution.
I make a motion to approve the resolution for the DEMIS, DEMHS agreement.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, good, thank you. Now I've lost my minutes, so I don't know, or the agenda, there we go, thank you. Next is a review of the Planning and Zoning Commission member total. I distributed to both of you the numbers that, I looked at both Middlesex County and New London County, all of the towns, and what their membership was made up of, the number of memberships where they were elected, and the number of regular members and the number of alternate members in each of these towns. Really quickly, that's 35 towns in both counties. 6 of those towns had 9 members on the commissions. Now, some of these towns, not very many, but some of these towns had split planning and zoning commissions. So most of those had 5 regular members on planning and 5 regular members on the zoning. Not all, but that's most. Towns like Groton right now are planning on combining those two. They haven't finished those plans, so I don't know where those numbers are going to be. But of those 35 towns, 6 towns had 9 members, 11 towns had 7 members, 16 towns had 5 members, and 2 towns had 6 members. We look at Middlesex County, it was distributed a little bit differently with 4, 4, and 5. New London County only had 2 with 9, 7 with 7, 11 with 5, and there's 1 each with 6 in each county. Looking at these, having worked in a number of, in industry basically, and been in front of a lot of planning and zoning commissions over the years, I don't see that we're in the anomaly. I think we're actually in the average of the communities around us in this area of the state. And I don't see a real need for us to expand. I certainly am willing to talk and listen to ideas. Other than right now, we have more people that are interested in being on the commission than we have openings on the commission. That I hope is not an anomaly, but it appears to be an anomaly. Over the last 15 years that I've been in town, there's been a vacancy with no one most of that time. So I'm recommending that we don't make any changes, but we keep monitoring the situation and the numbers and the people that are interested. But I'm certainly open for conversation and for thoughts.
I was interested with Essex, Saybrook, and Westbrook, how they had split commissions,
Yep.
and 5 on each, and then 2 alternates and 3 alternates, and whatever E means.
Elected.
Okay. But Essex it just says 5 alternates and 5 alternates on the zoning and 5 alternates on the zoning of appeals.
Yeah, that I think is just, I'm not very good with Excel sheets, and that's
Okay.
probably just a.
Okay. No, I was just-
A doesn't mean, actually, no, A is appointed.
Okay.
Those are not-
I was just
I don't have the number of alternates on those commissions.
I was just interested in, I guess, why they have 2 different commissions versus having a joint commission like the majority of the towns do. And again, I don't know enough about planning and zoning to,
Many of the larger towns split them in 2 because they sometimes have very different missions, if you will. Planning is dedicated strictly to planning, as Jane has been pointing out lately. Most of those towns, like Old Saybrook, like Essex, have got town planners. They're on their staff and they're full-time positions. Zoning Commission is more focused on the regulations as they're written,
for their town.
and not enforcing, but ensuring that any applications that come through
Comply.
comply with those regulations. So the larger towns sometimes split those in 2 because that's just the way that they've wanted to do it.
Okay.
As you pointed out, the majority of the towns are one combined, and so.
You stated in the past, there's always been a vacancy, whether it be, was that alternate or a regular member? That's usually an alternate, correct?
It's mostly an alternate.
Okay.
I can't say always, but
Right.
the majority of the
Majority
time
of
there's
the time.
been.
Where we stand now, I was on, before I took this position, appointed to this position, I was on the list to be on the planning and zoning. Where do we stand now? To the
now we
best of
have-
my knowledge, we have 2 vacancies, right?
We have 2 vacancies
As
as
alternates.
alternates,
Yep.
and we have 4 people that are interested.
Okay.
Now, I just emailed to you, right after you became a selectman, I emailed to you the list of
Yes.
folks to talk to.
Yep.
I emailed to you, I have one member, one interested person left, Gary, I have not arranged yet to meet with,
Okay.
and to speak with. So, if you could, I'd like to actually address that at the next selectmen's
Absolutely.
meeting, so if you can make
Yep.
an effort to do that.
Oh,
that'd be
absolutely. No, I was just curious if there were 6 people, 7 people waiting to go, and, there's a big demand to be on and all that. We have, for the most part, we have the positions either full, or we have enough people that are interested and hopefully qualified to be members of, but it's not like we have tons of people stepping up.
No,
know,
it's nice right now that we have.
It's good that we have it,
an
absolutely.
abundance, that's right.
But I think it's, it's one of those deals in town committees and all that kind of stuff where we wish more people would step up. And that's why I just wanted to know where we stood with the people that have expressed interest and how many vacancies we have. I thought it
Yep.
was 2 and 4.
It is,
Okay.
yeah.
The current group that's there right now, have they had any problems getting quorums to have a meeting?
I don't think so.
No. My concern would be is by increasing it,
Mm-hmm.
makes, you have to have higher people for a quorum. So that would be my concern there.
Actually, the quorum stays the same, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
The quorum would stay the same,
The
Ian?
number would stay the same.
Yeah.
I think my bigger concern would be just, you would have more of an opportunity for people not to be able to make it. The quorum would stay the same, it'd just be more
I
folks.
thought with the more people, we need higher quorum.
No, not in that particular instance.
Okay.
So, we don't need a vote, I don't think, I'm recommending that we leave it as it stands. We're certainly willing to listen to anybody in the audience that has any opinions otherwise.
So I just wanted to point out, there seems to be this ongoing myth that people don't want to be involved. I think when you said in public, 100 and some odd people were talking about the floating zone issue, people came to the table. So I think when you ask people to come to the table, they will. So it's not that people aren't interested, there's a lot of people who are interested.
In the planning and zoning right now, that's absolutely the case. But if we look at
And it will
all,
continue to be the case.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for pointing
And the other
that out.
issue, I just want to ask a question. So of the P and Z committees who have 5 members, how many of those split planning and zoning? How many are pure planning and zoning together, 5 people?
Yeah. Basra is one. I haven't counted them, so we'll just go through. Basra is one. Franklin is one.
Portland.
Griswold is one. Ledyard is one. North Stonington is one.
Stonington,
Stonington, Volanton, and Waterford are others.
and then
And
Portland.
we get into Middlesex, we've got Portland. So a good number.
Middlefield.
Another comment? I hope that the Board of Selectmen recommends, and then it goes to a town meeting. I would think that it was ideal that if you've got 2 positions open, you bring forth at least 1 extra person so that the town can actually vote on something.
And that's not how the ordinance is written. The Board of Selectmen recommends to the town, the Board of Selectmen appoints, the town confirms or rejects that appointment at the town meeting.
Well,
So we will-
how do they reject?
It's the same way that they appoint, that they confirm by vote. So hopefully at the next meeting, we will have 2 candidates, we'll take 2 of the 4 candidates that we have. We will discuss them, we'll appoint 2 of those. We'll set a town meeting date, and then we'll go to town meeting, and 150 people, or hopefully a lot of people will come out and vote yea or nay on each appointment. Just like we do for every appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Could you remind me who are the 4 candidates?
Yeah, it's
Roger.
Roger Williams, Alan Parody, Daphne Stroud, and Gary Clark. Anything else? Yes? No? Okay, thank you. So we don't have anything to vote on that, so we can just leave that be. Next will be the audience of citizens or any other business to come before the board. Is there any other business? Jane, go ahead.
Yes. I talked to Kathy Jefferson. She told me she's retiring at the end of this fiscal year.
That's right. We spoke about that a couple weeks ago, too.
And I asked her, I'd asked you about advertising, and I'd like to know what advertising has been done.
Zero. Yeah, I sent an email to our Council of Governments asking to have a meeting with me, the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, their regional director of the Regional Planning Commission, and the director of the Council of Governments to go through the process of preparing an advertisement for that job position, as well as to inquire whether there are any other towns that we might be able to share, and hopefully hire a full-time person to cover more than one town. That way, I think we're more likely to get a better equipped person, a better educated person who's going to have a full-time job as opposed to someone who's going to come in for 16 hours a week.
The zoning enforcement officer works for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
That's correct, and that's why I'm going over to the Council of Governments to determine precisely how that process takes place.
All right, and I would like a report back on that.
Come on in,
Because
next
it's-
couple of weeks, I'll be happy to, if you want to come to
Because
my
I-
office, I'm there every day, you're welcome to come in.
I would like the Planning and Zoning Commission as a whole to be involved in this process.
I'm sure you will be.
And the other thing is a bit of a warning. If any of the selectmen are too involved in the hiring of a CEO, I think it leaves the town open to a suit. If a complaint is made against a selectman, or by a selectman, or a selectman makes an application, if they've been too involved in the hiring of the CEO, and the CEO has to make some declaration, I think it opens us up to a conflict of interest. If I, on the Planning and Zoning Commission, have a complaint made against me, or I make a complaint or an application, I can recuse myself. Not only sit in the audience, I can leave the building. But I think it would be a more difficult situation if any of the selectmen are too involved in the hiring.
Thank you.
Could you describe the hiring process?
I'll be happy to do that in a couple of weeks. That's one of the reasons why I'm going down to speak with the Council of Governments, to determine exactly what that is. My guess is we advertise. Whoever responds to that, I mean, I'm also planning on speaking with the first selectman and the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission in Westbrook, in Clinton, and some of our other surrounding towns who have gone through the process in the last year. So as we learn that, that's how we're going to proceed.
I think you had mentioned at the last meeting that you were focusing on planning.
Jane wants us to, I think Jane has asked us to focus on planning.
So I would second that. I think we do a lot of enforcement, maybe not so much enforcement, but we focus on the day-to-day and not so much on the future. So as a resident, I would recommend that we get someone who understands how planning works.
I think that we have been fortunate for the last many years to have a zoning enforcement officer who does in fact know those rules better than most in our area.
I was
And I'm
thinking more
hopeful
about-
that we can have someone
I was
that has the
thinking
same,
more about-
I'm hopeful that we can have someone that has the same experience.
I was focusing more on best practices than enforcement. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anyone else? Gary?
When do you plan on appointing people for the positions in planning and zoning?
Well, as I suggested earlier today, at least a couple of times, I'm hopeful that we can at least have a conversation at our next Board of Selectmen's meeting.
All right, well, I'm just wondering because, like you said, I've spoken to everybody else that's applied and they all received phone calls a week ago and I still haven't. And I'm just wondering if it's because I'm requesting information and trying to educate myself on the process.
Oh, absolutely not. I think you only, if I'm not mistaken, your requests for information were just in the last week or so, maybe 10 days.
And like I said,
Yeah.
I never heard anything from you except for the email that we passed back and forth.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm wondering.
nothing at all.
All right.
The only other thing that I can speak to right now is our chairman of our Economic Development Commission has just resigned, so we will be, while we are, I'm sure that they will elect another chairman from within, we will certainly be looking and hopeful that we can have, fill that vacancy as quickly as we can. So, other than that, I'm out of things to talk about. Anyone else? Oh.
Can you give a formal welcome to our new select?
Oh, Jiminy Crickets, yes. Sorry about that. Jim Olson was appointed at our last meeting, our special meeting on April 2nd, and we're glad to have him aboard. He's already been very helpful at our budget workshops, and I look forward to a long cooperative effort together.
Looking forward to it.
Here, here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.